Descender. Get it? The book Descended. Oh, yeah. I'm starting this one off like a winner or a winder. Speaking of which, I am Taylor Winder. Welcome back to my channel. And this is my review of Volume 1 of Descender by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. It's a sci-fi epic, watercolor-ish, maybe. We'll talk about it all, the medium and everything else, and we'll get into it. It's a interesting book. This one, I hate to tell you this, so if you're watching to try and win a free giveaway, I am not going to give this one away. I'm going to keep it because I want to reread it and get future volumes, and I do not have the individual issues of this. So, sorry. That said, you can watch until the end to figure out if you won last week's giveaway of Canto Volume 1. Spoilers, most of you did not. One of you did. So, let's get into Descender. It's written by Jeff Lemire, and it's illustrated by Dustin Nguyen with letters by... Oh, I forgot the letterer's name already, because I'm a pro at this. Steve Wands. Steve Wands also did the design of the book, and yeah. Steve, dude. Bigger fonts, don't get so damn clever. I do have some issues, and I know I tend to touch on this a lot in a lot of books, but it bugs me a lot. So, the lettering, it starts off very tiny, white on maroon, kind of hard to read, and then it jumps into individual characters having their own fonts, depending upon whether or not they're quote-unquote human or robot. But, thankfully, that doesn't last, and then it resolves, and then the lettering actually is pretty okay for the rest of it. There's a little bit of it that bugs me, but it's not super prevalent throughout the book, and so, Steve, you're mostly off the hook. Mostly. Art-wise, it is great. Dustin paints this, and it's either watercolor or gouache or a watered-down acrylic on some kind of paper medium, and you can see the tooth of the paper shining through quite a bit, and you can see the brush marks and the pencil marks. He does an excellent job painting like childlike figures or kids, which is a really, really tough thing to do. He does have dramatic action throughout this and some splash pages that are pretty incredible, and the story is actually clearly told throughout this, which is impressive. He's got a nice cinematic sense to him, so I really enjoyed the artwork. The writing... It kind of feels like you're wearing a comfortable shoe. It's pretty familiar in a lot of ways. It's a childlike protagonist is going to have to save the world from impending doom. It's not, sorry, spoilers from here on out. Yeah, you've been warned. I probably should have warned you a couple seconds ago, but I didn't. Deal with it. So these robots called harvesters have come to the planets in this colony and wreaked havoc. I mean, these giant robots, and no one knows where they came from, and then they disappeared, and people are worried they might be back, and so robots have gotten a bad rap, and that's kind of the basic overall plot of this. And then, so robots are mostly banned until one day, Tim 21 wakes up, and Tim is this childlike robot who was originally created to be a companion for kids and lonely kids in colonies or whatever. A robot companion that to be a companion to other children. And this Tim 21 is very innocent and very naive, but apparently something in his programming or whatever holds the key to unlocking everything and possibly saving humanity. Or that's what folks are thinking anyways, and so everyone's after him. So you basically get Battlestar Galactica meets The Fifth Element, and you kind of go from there. It's nothing gets resolved in this first trade, but it's an interesting setup to a story, and it has a couple interesting twists on things. But it is, even for a sci-fi romp, it is treading some pretty familiar ground. And which leads me into something else. For Jeff Lemire, it's treading very familiar ground. Jeff, here's full disclaimer, I've not finished a lot of Jeff Lemire's stories. I've started a lot, and I've read the first arcs of a lot, and I do need to complete story arcs to see if this holds true with a lot of his writing. I read Essex County years ago, but I don't really recall it. I remember liking it, but I don't remember any of the story. But from what I have read, which includes Volume 1 of Family Tree, the first arc of Sweet Tooth, and this, and a few other things that I can't remember what he's all written. He's a very prolific writer. Prolific! That's a word. He has some tropes that he leans heavily into and relies on, or subconsciously recycles, or what have you. In every one of the things I've mentioned, maybe with the exception of Essex County, there's a childlike protagonist who's very, very innocent, woefully naive, and unaware of the world. There's a distant father figure, but not actually a father. None of the stories actually have a present father, but there's an alienated father figure who's got a hidden past that's created or done something horrible in their past and is trying to either redeem themselves for it or does something horrible as part of the story, then redeems themselves later. There's a redemption arc for the alienated father figure, and then there's these sets of like innocent companions, almost a la the Wizard of Oz, that always tend to come along and help in certain ways, and so that's present here, and it's present in a lot of his other stuff. It's now that's not necessarily a bad thing. You just kind of you start to get to know what you're in for with Jeff quite a bit, and here the side character is a barking little annoying dogbot, as it were, called Bandit. A robot called Driller the Killer, which is probably my favorite character in this thing, or Driller Killer. I'm not entirely sure the actual name. The father figure is a Dr. Jin Kwan, and yeah, it does touch upon a lot of stuff that he writes about quite a bit. I'm interested enough, though. It may be sound like I'm knocking this book, but I'm really not. It still is an interesting enough story that I am going to keep reading this and keep up with it. I want to figure out where it ends, and not just because it's been optioned. It might get turned into a movie or TV series at some point. Every damn comic on the planet's been optioned right now. It seems like any individual property, any unique, quote unquote unique comic has pretty much already been optioned for a TV series, just in case. But I know there's like a couple volumes of Descender, and then there's the sequel, Ascender or Ascender. And so I really want to see where it goes. A lot of it has to do with the artwork. Like Dustin Nguyen, I really can't praise him enough. Like he does a fantastic job throughout all this. And so and the story also does have enough that it's hooked me that I'm going to follow it up. So that's why I'm not giving this away. That said, that's kind of the sort of short-ish review of this. I don't really want to give a whole lot more spoilers to it. I mean, it's while touching upon what the general overall like arc is that I kind of already did, the protagonist and then the everyone racing to him. I kind of want to leave the rest of it for everybody to discover, because if I ruin some of that, then there's really not a whole lot left for folks to actually read in this volume. So pick it up, read it for yourself, and see if you agree with it. And yeah, let's get into that giveaway real quick, and we're gonna make this a world record short review. So you can just tell me, Taylor, go into more depth, or Taylor, that's still too damn long, or Taylor, shut up and unbox things. Whatever. The winner of Canto Volume 1 from last week is... I'm going to point in a direction, and I'm going to do it wrong, because I always do, because the camera... My brain just doesn't work in reverse camera stuff. Joe M. So, Joe, drop me a line on my Instagram, which should be in the comments down below, if it's not on the screen below you, and give me your address. I'll get it out to you. So, yeah, there you go. There you have it. Stay tuned next week. I'll try and have something to give away next week. I'll try and make sure that whatever I read, I've already owned, which is not always the case. If not, maybe I'll change my mind, decide to give this away down the line, or give something else out. I do like giving away things to the audience and stuff. So, thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day, evening, week, month, and maybe even a year, whatever. And just don't be a dick, or don't be a robo-dick, or robot dick, or artificial intelligence set out to save the world. Do good and don't be evil. Yeah, okay. Goodbye.